guys, what's up? It's Katie Candy and the Droker here with another episode of From Comics to Cinema's podcast. For those of you who don't know, we are gamers on Twitch and huge comic book nerds, and you can see the links to those channels in the description of this video and at the end of the video. And Droker is currently dying right now, so be sure to drop us a follow. Remember, you can catch the live recording of the show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the Candyland Discord. Now, I was really excited to talk about this guy because he's like super powerful, and I realized I knew nothing about him.
Not a lot of people do.
Until like a few days ago. And now I feel like I'm overwhelmed with information here. So today we are going to be talking about Black Adam, who is basically the knight to Shazam's day.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but he is a really cool character. He's been dead and brought back to life and retconned, and he's been a villain and a hero and an anti-hero and a villain again, and he's got a crazy set of powers. And you said it earlier, he's basically DC's version of War Thor, which I'm really disappointed that we're not going to get War Thor.
No, it is big sad. But yeah, he essentially not direct, but he's saying basically. His motivations are the same. He's got that rage, that endless rage that makes him an unstoppable force.
Right. And like he got his powers the same way that Shazam did from the Wizard. He was essentially the first champion that the Wizard picked and was ultimately betrayed. And in one storyline, he was sent off to space for like years. And another storyline, he was entombed for thousands of years. So he's had two different main storylines or beginnings, I should say.
Yeah, he's got one where he was basically chosen before Shazam. Well, Captain Marvel, Shazam. He was Captain Marvel back then in the 40s. And he was like, he got corrupt with power, and the Wizard recognizes, like you said, and they basically sent him across the universe and then traveled 5,000 years on his way back. And they had already Billy Batson. There was actually a whole Marvel family. It was like Billy Batson, Mary. I forget the kid's name. There was like Uncle Shazam as well.
It was the Marvel family.
Yeah. And then he got like retconned again, and then that involved the Wizard's daughter, who's like half demon, Blaze, who made a deal with Set, that instead of getting the Greek pantheon powers like Solomon, Hercules, well, the DC Greek pantheon powers, we'll get into that later. He gets the Egyptian Shu, Heru, Amun, Zehuti, Aton, and Mehen, and I've probably butchered all of those names, but he gets the Egyptian version.
Which is cool because you would assume he would have the same god level powers as Shazam, and he has the Egyptian version, which is cool to see the different. You have the Greek god versus the Egyptian gods, and I love seeing the, I don't want to say range, diversity. There we go.
Yeah, you're getting. I mean, this is DC's Thor universe essentially. We're getting all the gods, the pantheons of gods. They all kind of exist alongside of each other, kind of the same way in Marvel. So it's you're getting to see like which is why I like we kind of did these episodes so close together, because we're just talking about gods, man. It's what we're doing,
right? And so, didn't at one point in time too, Black Adam had the powers of Isis as well.
Yeah, so that was 52 story arc,
not
to be confused
new
with
52.
The new 52, because
which, thank you DC for confusing us even more. Like you couldn't, but bruh.
Like thank you for making it easy to follow. In that ISIS, so basically Intergang invades. I'm gonna like butcher this story. I'm gonna chop it up real quick, but we're gonna TLDR. Intergang invades the city where he's from, which is I'm gonna butcher it, dude. Kandak, I think is how it's spelled.
I've been saying it Kandak, but it's probably Kandak or something like that. So, guys, if we pronounced it wrong, let us know.
I'm sure there's many different ways, but until like we get maybe The Rock saying it, maybe everybody will be like, okay, that's how you say it, because The Rock said it that way. So that's probably what it's going to take. But yeah, so this gang basically infiltrates this city, which he's like, that's where he's from, and he kind of like, in every story, he's basically that city's protector.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Um,
he was basically a slave in that city.
right, which
So,
we've seen in the Black Adam trailer, which we'll talk about later.
right,
We do see a lot of that, which I think happens in that city. So yeah, he's basically that city's protector. This gang infiltrates it. They kidnap this woman. This woman basically reminds him of his wife way back in the day, and like quells the rage and the storm, and he falls in love, and all the whole cheesiness happens, and he takes her to the Scarab that actually once imprisoned him, and endows her with the power of Isis.
right.
And she basically becomes like female Black Adam,
Pretty much. It's
very Marvel
basically
Black Adam.
building the Black Marvel family.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There's like a Black Marvel family. So and that's basically what happened. This is the story arc I think is important because I think this is what the movie's kind of grab
Same.
from. I think.
It's kind
Um,
of what when I was reading about it and what I saw
mhm.
from the Black Adam trailer with The Rock in it, that's kind of where I was thinking they were pulling material from.
Yeah, and it's also mixed in with 90s JSA stuff, which thanks to B, I had to look up and find out about because that's when Adam actually joins the Justice Society of America, and I think that was when DC was pushing JSA back in the 90s. Like it was Teen Titans JSA and I think something else. They were
Right.
pushing some team ups. Um,
He
so yeah, so that was that whole. He's an anti-hero in this story.
right.
He's doing good in this one so far.
He,
He's
he
teaming up.
he's doing good. They find that girl's
Brother.
brother, and he gives
Hmm.
him some of his power, much like Shazam gave Freddy some of his
Hmm.
power, and he becomes basically like a Mon. And
Hmm.
but then then crazy wackiness, and well, he ends up joining like the Teen Titans, I believe, for a little bit.
Yeah, as Osiris. His
Yeah,
his
yeah,
his
as
his name is,
Osiris.
yeah, he's Osiris is what
That's
he
right.
ends up being. Which fun fact trivia thing, you actually see Osiris in a really random part of the Blackest Night story arc. He gets resurrected.
Oh, really?
Anyway, he gets I'm telling you that story arc. They went crazy with that story. Um,
Clearly.
yeah, you see him resurrected in that story arc as well. So it was a nice little deep cut from that. But yeah, he's really powerful as well. Whole Black Marvel family is like coming together. Good times all to be had. Kandak is safe. He kind of has like this no fly zone over his city. Like
Yeah.
don't mess with them, and they
Literally, like
won't mess with
he's
you.
gone after the Justice League because they've flown
Yeah,
over his city. And he's
yeah,
like, yo,
yeah.
no.
Leave us alone. And,
Yeah.
and 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 they have basically an agreement with him, like we won't mess with you as long as you don't leave this city, and because we don't want you running. Because they've learned from there's previous stories and fights and everything that they basically need everybody to battle him
Right.
when he goes off.
They
So leave him
really
alone, and
do.
they'll leave you alone and let bygones be bygones. That's where the whole anti-hero kind of thing comes in. There was a this is how deep I went. I found a character study from like a college paper online about how Black Adam is like the perfect Nietzschean hero. So that was fun to find out. Which yeah, so there you go. If you guys are nerdy enough like me to find that out and want to read something on that, there you go. You can go look that up.
I was never able to write a college paper on a comic book hero. I was writing papers on like tardigrades and stuff, which, by the way, those are water bears.
Yeah, it was a paper on Nietzschean heroes that talked about Black Adam, Walter White from Breaking Bad, and there was another example they gave, and I was like, really, Black Adam? And he alluded 52 as the story that why he fits that archetype or whatever. So, but yeah, pretty cool.
I mean, it makes sense. 52 is such like a big storyline
Yeah,
for
yeah,
him.
and then that was so like I said, that was when he basically, I mean, he gets married in front of Shazam, in front of Captain Marvel. The like some of the
Hmm.
JLA's there, like Lois Lane's there, and like he gets married in front of a bunch of people with ISIS, and then at some point he rips this dude in half
Right in front of Lois.
in front of Lois, in front of like people, and it kind of turns Isis off. I think as well. She witnesses it and kind of turns a little bit off to like whoa dude, like what was that about? Like that was a bit
A
extreme, but
little bit, yeah. But then, like, she eventually gets killed, and
hmm
he goes after the four horsemen of death because she gets
hmm
killed,
hmm
excuse me, and he ends up unaliving, imagine this, all of the four horsemen of death, including death. And mind you, anytime
yeah,
someone dies, right,
yeah,
it
definitely more powerful.
empowers death.
Yeah,
So What is Black Adam's solution to this? He wipes out an entire city. An
Yeah.
entire city, which then feeds Death, makes him more powerful, and then Black Adam unalives Death.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. With the
literally
power of ISIS.
crushes his skull.
Yeah.
Like,
It's insane.
touches his brain.
Yeah. It's he 2 million. I think 2 million lives is the number that
Something
they
like
give.
that, yeah.
Which is That's where the anti-hero part comes in, man. He's, in his to get to his means, there is no ends that he won't do. So that's, take that with what you will. It's why I like him, but it's why a lot of people don't like him. So I kind of side with characters that will justify and fight for their personal beliefs so much that they just are unwavering.
Yeah.
And
he
Black Adam's very
is
much like that.
very unwavering.
Yeah, and extremely powerful, and he's one of the few. And growing up, he was one of the few. He was him and Shazam were like my trump cards for Superman fights, arguments. Usually Shazam, because Shazam's the hero who always won.
Right.
Black Adam was always part of the argument because they never really. I think World War III was the only story arc where we really get to see his full potential, because he literally fights everybody.
He fights
in, like, the DC
everybody,
universe.
and it takes everybody to like team up.
Which happens immediately after 52 story. So it's like 52 goes into World War III.
Right.
And World War III is where he just gets unabridged, like up until the 2020 story arc. But like it takes the Justice League, the JSA, it takes the Titans, it takes like every team up you could think of,
and
they send after Black Adam. Except for the big three. Minus the big three.
He ends up like punching his fist through Terra of the Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Bad day for any villains or characters named Terra when they run into Black Adam. There's a theme. He just destroys them.
Oh yeah, because Terra was the one he tore in half too.
Yeah, Terra Man. Yeah, Terra Man was the one he tore in half, and then Terra's the one he punched through.
Terra Man's just like this little low level criminal who's like
he's an eco terrorist.
He's an eco terrorist. Yeah. But not
he's
a big threat.
He's one of those villains where like you kill and you're like, he really didn't need to die. He just kind of like he's trying to save the trees. He's kind of a hippie.
Yeah.
And
he's like an extreme hippie.
Like, no. Which fun facts, Teth Adam means mighty Adam, which is mighty Adam, which is mighty human or mighty man.
Mighty man.
And then when he gets named Black, because he turns this when he gets like, I think it's like Chemadem. That's when he becomes like black. Like he takes on the darker side of man. That's why the wizard named him that. Because he gets corrupt. He gets extremely corrupt in the original story arc, which is like where he gets his name. So, but yeah, he goes crazy. So they die. He goes crazy. He kills that nation. He fights off like basically death, which is like Mangog, but the DC death version, but just fueled by everybody's death. I think he fights Spectre at one point in one story arc, just on a tangent, and he beats the living crap out of Spectre. Spectre ends up winning in the end, but Spectre's one of the Lords of Order.
Imagine going toe to toe with Spectre, and like he almost won that fight. It wasn't like anything close or anything like it wasn't like Spectre was about to wipe the floor with him. Like no.
Yeah, he's above Superman if you really want to get into it. Technically, he's on a Lord of Chaos or Lord of Order level. Like him and Naboo are friends, and Naboo's the inhabitant of Dr. Fate's helmet. It was like him, Naboo, and Prince Kofu, and Kofu's the original Hawkman. They were all like three bros back in like ancient Egypt, like back in the day. With Vandal Savage, I think he was thrown in there in the mix as well at one point. So all these characters are super connected. So he is essentially a god. He's like a demigod. He's
basically a demigod because it's not only his strength, Brandon, but he's got speed. He's not dumb. This is what it is, Brandon. So he's got the strength from Shu, the speed from Haru, the strength from Amon, the wisdom of Zehuti, the power of Aton, which basically is the magic within him, and the courage of Mehen. So he
doesn't have to eat.
No.
He's indestructible, invulnerable, like
Yes.
indefinite stamina. He's an unstoppable force. But he's magic based. Yes, he's
Yes.
magic based. So in a fight with characters such like Superman, he actually has the upper hand.
Yeah. He's magic, very much how Shazam is magic based. He's magic based. So that's why they are so
Mhm.
good opponents versus each other. Like
Yeah, just
it's
different sources.
yeah, yeah, it's just
That's it.
different sources.
Different pantheons of gods. That's literally it. But same power. I would. The thing is the only reason why Captain Marvel Shazam wins Billy Batson is because he's the hero.
Right.
That's the only reason why he wins these fights against Black Adam. They are
Like
literally the same power level.
the first time Billy Batson Shazam comes up across Black Adam, like they are when he's Shazam, like he's almost getting beaten by Black Adam because he's still relatively new to his power set,
He's
right?
inexperienced.
He's inexperienced, so he's not quite sure like how he should go with it, that sort of thing. And then he learns about in the one story arc, I should say. In the one story arc, he learns about how Black Adam became Black Adam, and he thought that he was actually a kid because he's shown this story of this kid who is enslaved and is deemed worthy by the wizard of being pure of heart, not so much yet. That doesn't come into play. That actually doesn't come into play until after. So he sees this kid, and before he can be shown the full story, he runs off to Black Adam and is like, "Hey, I know what you're going through. You were bullied. You were oppressed. Like, I understand what you're going through. You were just a kid." And that's when Black Adam grabs him and is like, "You don't know the full story. I'm not afraid." Like, he gets, and so then he shows Billy Batson the full story, and he wasn't the kid. He wasn't Amon, who is actually his nephew. He was the uncle, and he was fatally wounded. And so Amon asked the wizard if he could spare his uncle, and the wizard said, you can give him some of your power. So he did, and that spared his uncle, Teth Adam's life. But then when they were going to go and overthrow, basically, I guess they were pharaohs in Kandak that were basically making living conditions really
Correct.
terrible.
High priestesses.
High
Well,
priest,
the
yeah.
pharaoh, but high priestesses were really the ones like beating the crap out of
Right.
out of the slave. Which in the original origin, Black Adam is one of those high priests.
Right.
He's like a benevolent one.
Yeah.
Which is why the wizard chooses him originally, because like he's like he's very respectable to like his workers or whatnot. Which in the later one he's not a high priest. I think he's just he just lives. He's like the wizard works for the pharaoh. That's how the wizard chose him. I kind of forget. It gets convoluted.
It gets very convoluted, and then he gets in that storyline. He kind of gets drunk with power.
Yeah, because I think it's a New 52 is where he kills his nephew to get the power.
Yes, it's New 52. Yeah, so
in the new origin.
Yeah, that's the New 52. The New 52 is where he unalives his nephew, takes his power, and that's when the wizard locks him away in a tomb.
Yeah, that's the one that I don't like. Not a fan of that origin. Just my personal opinion here in the little soapbox, because it automatically paints him as a villain.
It paints him as a villain, number one. And number two, like, he's so easily beaten by Billy. So once Billy sees the whole story, he's like, well, why don't you fight me like a man? No superpowers. And so because Black Adam hadn't transformed back into his human self, and he's thousands upon thousands of years old, he agrees. So he says Shazam and transforms back into his human self, which means that he's not magical right then, because that's only gifted to him when he says the words Shazam and becomes Black Adam. So Ted Adam then basically disintegrates.
Yeah, turns into dust.
Dust.
Yeah, it was really not my favorite. There's some things with the New 52 I like. There's some things I didn't like. This definitely was one of the things I didn't like.
Yeah, I didn't like that story.
Just not. I don't know. Just felt. There was a couple of videos I watched, and they all kind of said the same thing, and I actually agree. It's just lazy. Lazy writing. Just.
And then like Shazam takes his remains or ashes or dust essentially to
Yeah,
Kahndaq, and then he's resurrected, and
because you never really
you
die.
never really die.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan. I really hope they don't do any of that
I
from
honest
from from the trailer, which I don't think we're gonna see because it seems like somebody else is gonna kill the kid from the
Yeah,
trailer.
honestly, I don't think so, because I don't think it's his. It doesn't appear to be his nephew
Hmm.
in the trailer. It's probably like his son.
I think it's gonna be a son. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think yeah they're gonna yeah I think they're gonna. I don't think it's gonna be a straight from comic book origin from the
No.
trailer. But I think they're gonna Hollywood it for sure.
I think they're gonna
Storyline.
Hollywood it. I think they're gonna take a little bit from like the ISIS storyline, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get 52 ISIS. I think we may even get a little World War III
I
mixed in
think for
there.
sure.
We're 1000% getting 90s JSA with Kent Nelson and
Hmm.
Adam Smasher. The female, I had to look her up. I didn't know who she was. That Cyclone. She's actually newer in the DC universe. I think she's a Jeff Johns creation, if I'm not mistaken. I could be getting that wrong. But she's added to the JSA, I think like 2013, 2014 ish. But she's going to appear in a older timeline, I guess, in this story. So we'll see. She's
Interesting.
basically female Red Tornado's replacement is what she was
Okay.
supposed to be.
Well, that makes sense.
So yeah, she's gonna have like wind cyclone powers. She's basically think
With a
storm.
name like Cyclone, I
Yeah,
never would have
weird,
guessed.
weird. Yeah, DC's on the nose with that kind of stuff.
Captain Cold.
Firestorm, wonder what they do. Yeah, Captain Cold, Boomerang,
I
wonder
was
what
just
they
about
do.
to say Captain
Even
Boomerang.
Rip Boomerang. But yeah, so like I said, Amon, not the biggest fan of, but I think we're gonna get a version of Amon in
Hmm.
the trailer or in the origin. I think it's gonna be a son.
Yeah,
If it's
I
not his
think.
son, at least his nephew, and he's gonna be really close to his
Yeah,
like sister kind of thing.
yeah.
His
Or
mom.
he's basically going to be like the father figure to his
Yeah,
nephew.
yeah, exactly, kind of thing. I'll be really surprised if they go the New 52 route. The Rock apparently has had a lot of control in
Yeah,
this origin
he
in this
has.
movie.
He's
So
been. He's actually been like trying to get this movie done since like two
oh wow.
2014 was when he announced it. So it is now 2022. So I like that he's dedicated to it. I like The Rock as an actor, but here's the thing: is The Rock usually plays a hero,
Hmm.
and so this is gonna be something very different, because Black Adam is never. He's a hero in his mind, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, and he's never really like he's an anti-hero, but if you think about it, most of the time he's actually a villain.
Yeah, and like growing up, I'm sure like a lot of everybody out there, my interactions with Black Adam until I started looking into him more was team ups. He was
Yeah.
basically part of the Injustice Society. He was always the antithesis team ups to the JLA and the JSA. So that's kind of where I knew him from. I was like, oh, he's just the opposite Shazam. Okay, he wears black instead of red. Cool, got it. And you learn a little more, and you're like, oh, dude, this dude's like a god. He's like a demigod. And so is Shazam, and they're so underplayed in the animated stuff. So you really have to dive in to get. That's why it was really interesting that he pushed so hard for Black Adam to me as a comic book reader. I'm like, really? That's the character you want? That's the one you want to bring to the big screen? That you want Warner Brothers to fund? That really, this is the one?
But I kind of like it,
Yeah.
because if you look at Shazam, I really
Mhm.
enjoyed the Shazam movie, and we talked about that when we did the
Mhm.
Shazam podcast. So, the big red cheese.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, I think it'll be interesting to see him play a villain for once, or at least an anti-hero, because I feel like that's what they're going to make him, potentially at the end of the movie or somewhere towards the end of the movie, once Dr. Fate and Hawkman get involved.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get definitely the interaction between Adam Smasher and Adam. They kind of have like a not a bromance. They become straight up friends, just friends. Um, and he actually coerces Adam Smasher at one point to like see his point of view, and they kind of they kind of beat some guys to a pulp and brutalize
Oh
and
yeah,
like gore
does
him up real good. And JSA is like shuns him, and Adam Smasher goes to prison for a little bit over it. And they kind of kick Black Adam out of the JSA. They're like, nah, dude, we don't do that here. So I think we're gonna get maybe a little bit of that. I'm
They're
interested
like,
to see what
we
DC is
don't
gonna do with Hawkman.
unalive people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They don't do that. So I'm interested to see what. And like I said, Hawkman, I'm kind of curious to because in the animated versions we get a couple different variants, all of which are basically reincarnations of Kofu, whatever his name is, and his powers are derived from a metal that basically I think it's Thanagarian metal. Uh, so we'll see what story arc they go with if he's going to be actually like Thanagarian or a human who finds Thanagarian tech, or if he's going to be the reincarnated. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Hawkman, and then Kent Nelson, of course, Doctor Fate.
Dr. Fate, who we will actually be talking about next week.
Yeah, I don't want to go too much into it, but like I said, Nabu and Black Adam, the thing in the helmet that Doctor Fate wears, they're old friends. It's Black
Yeah.
Adam. They're old buddies. So that there's definitely going to be some kind of relationship or interaction between those two. Um, I think this is going to be the half helmet Doctor Fate we're going to be getting in the movie. I don't think it's going to be the full powered Nabu takes over Doctor Fate kind of helmet. I think this is going to be the one he's going to be able to control because it looks like he takes it off in the trailer. So because there's two different helmets, he ends up. We'll talk about it later. That's
Stay tuned for next week,
yeah,
guys.
that's a whole different thing. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, I know not little to nothing about Cyclone. It'll be interesting to see her interaction with the whole thing. I imagine she's just going to be super powerful, strong, just pretty basic,
Mm-hmm.
straightforward. I think we're going to get maybe if we get Isis, I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
But I would like to see Isis as well.
I think she would be great. I think we should talk about some of the people. Like when he fought Superman at one point in time, Superman actually said that it felt like his punches were cannon blasts. Like that's how powerful Black Adam is. And here's the thing: is Black Adam was holding back.
Yeah, it took two Supermen, I believe, to bring down Black Adam,
Didn't he
and even
fight?
then,
He fought Ultraman too.
he fought Ultraman as well. And by fight, I mean Ultraman beat the crap out of Black Adam, and Black Adam beat the crap out of Ultraman back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty brutal fight,
Mm-hmm.
which one expects from Ultraman. Ultraman is a brutal character.
Yeah, he is.
He and Shazam in a newer story arc, which I was trying to find more of. It's like Shazam in the Seven Lands or something like that. They end up meeting up with Superboy Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And they take on Superboy Prime, and in the fight, Superboy Prime is actually getting stronger because he was kept under like a red sun, basically. Which, if you know anything about Superboy Prime, he's still super powerful even under a red sun. But yeah, he's like absorbing power, and it takes both him and Billy Batson to say the word Shazam at the same time to basically hit Superboy Prime, and then when that happens, it doesn't even kill him. It just knocks him out. It just knocks him unconscious, and then Black Adam starts to die because he reverted back to his old man self, and then Billy Batson actually reaches out, touches him, says Shazam, and actually saves him,
Mm-hmm.
reverts him back to the Black Adam form. That's the last thing I think I read up on that one. So there's like a love-hate relationship with them on and off. I want to see them touch on that as well. Batson is a hopeless romantic when it comes to Black Adam. He always believes that there's
Yeah.
always like a little bit of good in him.
But
There's always a glimmer of good.
that's just it. That's Billy Batson's mentality, though.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to see the good in everything.
Yeah, correct. And that's where that's why Teth is such a good
Mm-hmm.
antithesis to that. He doesn't really like humans.
No, he
He
does
likes
not.
he likes his town and his city and like his people, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So he's regularly on. I mean, he's even been coerced at one point. I forget. I think it was Infinite Crisis. He's coerced by somebody hired by Lex Luthor, and once he figures out like Lex Luthor's behind it, he goes crazy and just starts beating the poop out of people just left and right. He's like, "You're not going to manipulate me. I'm freaking Black Adam." And goes
Oh
crazy.
yeah, because he did get manipulated.
Yeah, he did.
And that was
not happy about it.
He was not happy about it.
He's like, "Oh, I'm a part of your plan. Well, now after your plans, I'm taking everybody with me."
And like he's even so at one point in time too, he did lose his powers, but he didn't revert back to like
right.
He didn't.
Yeah, he was just a man.
He was just a man, and he was when he was on search to try to get his powers back. He was in the Himalayas and he came
Oh,
across.
I was hoping you were going to talk about this.
So, man comes across a Yeti and he's stuck in the Himalayan mountains. All right.
You would find the Yeti
I
story.
would find the Yeti story. I really would. So, man is up in the Himalayan mountains trying to get down, comes across a Yeti, fights the Yeti,
With his bare hands.
bare hands, punches into him, pulls out the Yeti's intestines, and rappels down the mountain
On belay.
on the Yeti's intestines. Like, what?
Yeah, that I did see that. I forget where I saw that, but I did come across that. That's funny that you bring that up. Yeah, he's
And
a formidable foe,
omnipotent.
even without his powers.
We're so good with words on this podcast.
I'm a friggin' wordsmith.
But yeah,
he's crazy. He's crazy
and
good.
he even like up in the Himalayan mountains, like they reverted to like cannibalism to survive because he did have to eat then. He's a very much a for. Oh great! Now you got me not being able to say it. Formidable foe. He has such a will to survive and like do what he thinks is right, which is not right.
Yeah, it's right for what he thinks is right, which I guess works out great for him. But it's interesting because we watched we talked about the same god Sobek in Moon Knight.
Yes, we did.
We did. But this is a DC version now. Because some things have to be the same.
Full circle.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, this is if you guys haven't seen any of the new stuff, which was released from San Diego Comic-Con, a new trailer was released, a new trailer, just new stuff in general. It was kind of it was kind of like a letdown for me as a DC fan because Marvel had like this grand, giant, huge, big announcement, and DC was like, "Y'all got super pets."
Marvel has the next 15 years planned
Here's
out.
another Black Adam trailer. And Marvel's like, look at this, and this, and this, and look at this, and also this, and don't forget about this. It's like, that's all awesome, actually. That's rad. That's also side note, I was actually really excited about Armor Wars. But anyway, so we're getting the Rock's project passion.
Yes.
Passion
project. We're so good with words tonight.
Which again, I don't know. We'll see what we get. I'm going to read this real quick, and it's just because we're just going to talk about maybe what we're going to get in the movies. Black Adam has since undergone multiple changes in its status quo, first going straight up villainy in the New 52 era, which we talked about. I hope they don't do. And then returning to more complicated into the Rebirth era, so-called the Council of Immortals, immortal beings who have influenced the history of the DC universe, which I think that's going to be the Lords of Order.
So we should probably talk
about... I think we're going to see them.
We should probably talk about the Lords of Order and Chaos.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see him. I think we're gonna get I think that's where we're gonna get our introduction into this movie, and I think maybe even a power struggle or Black Adam maybe interrupting the power struggle between the two, because that's what he does.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, we talked about Nubu already. Nubu, Dr. Fate, basically. He lives in the helmet. He's a Lord of Order. Amethyst as well. Amethyst is another really powerful character in DC. If you don't know Amethyst, look up Amethyst. Phantom Stranger. Another duster wearing, fedora wearing character that I love.
Why am I not surprised? He's got the fedora. He's got the duster. Joker doesn't even have to know anything about him. He sees the duster and the fedora, and he's like, I'm in.
Phantom Stranger, another one of those characters that ends from like I think the OG days that ended up being one of the most omnipotent and powerful beings in the DC universe. Kismet Arian, the Wizard, which we talked about, the Wizard who gave powers to Shazam and Black Adam originally. He's also a Lord of Order. Tarataya Tuioni, I'm messing with, and Amun Ra, which makes sense. And then your Lords of Chaos, I'm going to butcher all these names, are the first one, Kaon, Cheld, Flaw, Mr. Keeper, Mordru, which Mordru we'll talk about later, Mashallah, Shivering Jemmy, Tachar, and Typhoon. Typhon. I think it's Typhon, not Typhon. Typhon.
It's not Typhoon.
Yeah, no, Typhon. Which I think Mordro might be one of the ones that I think we're gonna get. He's extreme. Think of evil Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But DC is essentially who he is. He's extremely powerful. He's like Sorcerer Supreme, an OG sorcerer. He's just super, super strong. I don't know a whole lot about him. I just know he's a big bad.
Yeah, he's basically he's actually more like the Ancient One, but evil.
Yeah. He just reality kind of does what he wants around him. And Spectre at one point was considered a Lord of Order, but Spectre kind of just
Spectre does what Spectre wants.
Power level is kind of the point of contention because I think Spectre's actually even more powerful than Lords of Order and Lords of Chaos. I think he's above all that. Because he's like basically like right under like 200, I think 200, like God and like the Creator, and then I think it's Spectre as far as like power levels in the DC universe. So, and then you got the Lords of Order and Lords of Chaos like under that, and Lords of Order and Lords of Chaos usually have like heralds or like agents who like they channel their power through. So like Naboo's got Kent Nelson with Dr. Fate, and then like Mordred kind of just does whatever he wants. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. If they Hollywood it or if they stick to just straight up source material, because not everybody's going to know this. So
they could just straight up change it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or they could. What's funny? What came to my mind was what's his face from Marvel, the Mandarin. They could Mandarin it. They could just phone it in.
They definitely. And then they're like, "Oh, that's not the real Mandarin. We got the real Mandarin in Shang-Chi."
JK. Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see because I've always loved this part of DC, Lords of Order, Lords of Chaos, and it's funny because there has to be a balance between the two. There can't be like one side winning and one side losing. That's kind of the caveat between these two forces fighting. And there's even, I think there's Lords of like Balance, I think as well, but I didn't even want to get into that. So there's like Agents of Balance that try to like disrupt the balance between the two, and that's like their whole purpose is to just like screw with both of sides to keep it chaotic. So. Yeah, and I guess those are the true Agents of Chaos. But yeah, Dr. Fate's pretty much tied into all of that. I don't think we're gonna get a Spectre. I don't think we're gonna get a Phantom Stranger appearance. I don't think they're gonna go that deep cut. I know we're gonna get Naboo. So I personally would love to see a young Naboo and young Teth.
I mean,
talk crap to each other. That's obviously.
It would make sense too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the whole Egyptian story in the beginning, they definitely good. There, you can see it. They're leaning into that heavy. So. Oh yeah, Mordru was actually. I want to talk about his power level. He was actually one of the ones who could control the power of the Starheart, and the Starheart was who originally gave Alan Scott, Green Lantern, his power from his battery. It was like this green eternal flame.
Speaking of lanterns, Black Adam was part of Yellow Corps.
Yes. Nice segue.
Right?
Yeah. He was actually part of the Sinestro Corps because one of his main deterrence is fear. He uses fear to just scare the crap out of everybody, and that powers him. That's what he does. He's a very scary man. Okay. Maybe The Rock was a good choice.
I think The Rock was very. You know what? Like, the more I think about it, the more I think I'm going to highly enjoy him as the Black Adam, or as Black Adam.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I like I said, it sounds like he wants to do the anti-hero part, and I hope they allow him to do it.
So. I really hope they do, and I feel like he's kind of into the comics and stuff, and might know a little bit. So, this is his passion project. So I really hope that he does Black Adam right, because like Black Adam is not to be trifled with, and.
No, not many ways to defeat him. Besides, I think one of the few ways was that you basically Shazam him out of his form, and Billy Batson actually changed his word from Shazam to chocolate.
Yes, when to what?
Chocolate.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So and then they never told him, and like he found out like way later when he actually ordered chocolate egg cream as a normal dude, and he transformed into Black Adam, and he was like, son of a, he actually did change it to that. So yeah, that's one of the ways you defeat him. Another way is nth metal. It actually absorbs magical properties,
Yes.
but that's if you know anything about nth metal in DC universe, it's extremely rare. You don't just come across nth metal.
No.
It's rarer than kryptonite. So as often as you see kryptonite, just think like half of that, and that's how often you
Mhm.
see nth metal in the DC verse. I think I know Superboy Prime can go toe to toe with him. Probably 1 Million Sun Superman can probably maybe go toe to toe with him. A fully charged Supes can go toe to toe with a fully charged Black Adam. Um, Shazam can go toe to toe with him, but he's gonna have to absorb the power from all the Shazam family.
He has to. I mean, he even like he defeated Lord Marvel, who was
Hmm. Hmm.
basically Shazam's greatest form,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Ultimate Shazam.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's he's not. And again, it's like he's such a powerful character. I'm like, man, they're really going for the gusto here, man. Like DC, and then they got The Rock doing it, so it'll be interesting. It'll
I,
be real interesting to see what they do.
yeah, I mean, he broke Power Girl cuz he threw her.
Hmm.
Like, I
Yeah. Oh,
mean,
yeah. He
like
regularly throws Kryptonians like they're rag dolls.
yeah, yeah. He regularly throws Kryptonians
Words.
words. He regularly punches through people, tears people in half, and let's see. Oh yeah, he stuck his fingers through the skull, through the eye sockets of just like a villain, and they poked through the back of his helmet. Like,
He's super fast too.
yeah, he's super fast. I mean, he's taken down Jay Garrett.
Hmm.
He's taken down Stargirl, Power Girl. I already talked
Hmm.
about. He's
Hmm.
taken down Alan Scott, Plastic Man,
Hmm.
Wonder Girl with Wonder Woman's equipment. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah. And
there's
again, he's taking on the whole team ups too. He's
yeah,
not. They're going for it, man. It'll be interesting to see. And if because they didn't want to do, because this is what I could see them doing, because we're not getting Zack Snyder's Dark Side anymore as the big bad for the
no,
main DC
which
verse.
is
So
unfortunate.
I think we might be getting The Rock. I think this is going to be the anti-hero turned villain story. I think he's going to be the next big bad
You
in
know
in
what?
the MCU.
I didn't think about that, but it would make sense, right? Because
Yeah.
okay, so we've got the next Shazam movie coming out, right?
Hmm.
So and with this one it seems like we're getting the JSA,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So it would make sense where something happens and he all of a sudden goes
Hmm.
off the rails, right?
Hmm. They lock him up.
They lock him up.
That's why Fate's there.
Yeah.
I'm sure Fate's gonna have something to do with that. It's not gonna be the Wizard. It's gonna be Fate.
It's going to have to be fate.
Yeah. No, Mr. Mind. That's such a deep. That was that Charlatan. Was that Charlatan Comics? Was one of the properties they brought over,
Yeah.
or was that
No,
oh
no,
god, what's the other one? I
I'm
don't remember the name of it.
pretty sure it's Charlatan because it wasn't. Isn't Mr. Mime one of the Shazam foes? The
Yeah, I
worm?
think so. But I don't think they'd go that. I don't think they would go
Well,
that
they
route.
hinted at that at the end of Shazam.
Yeah, they did, but I don't think that's gonna tie into anything to do with this. I think that's just gonna be a Shazam thing. I don't think it's gonna be a Black Adam thing. I think the Black Adam thing is gonna be more of, like I said, he's gonna be more of like a cosmic universal thing. And just I think Shazam's gonna be more focused on like just Shazam things.
Getting beer. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, exactly. Trying to get beer. I just don't see them doing that as like a big bad for. I think Mr. Mime would be a great like one film villain. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I think eventually they're gonna have a
Yeah.
Shazam versus Black Adam movie.
Here's what I think. I think they're gonna do a Shazam Superman versus Black Adam like the animated movie. They're just gonna bring it to the big
Oh
to the
my!
Hollywood.
With Henry Cavill as Superman.
Hmm. If they're smart, they'll do that. If they are smart, they will do that.
Be still my heart.
Yeah, Henry Cavill and Zach in the same screen with The Rock, dude. Oh, so many muscles rippling. Good lord. Oh, so many abs. So just
Just,
all of the abs on the screen.
just so many arms. Just,
Just whose pecs are bigger?
I'm gonna go with the rocks.
Probably The Rock's.
Just because I think the Rock is probably the biggest out of all of them.
Yeah, that, and I've just seen The Rock's training regimen, and dude trains like a freaking mutant. He
Did
trains like
you
like Wolverine.
have you seen Cavill's whenever he was getting into shape for Superman? Man would eat like a entire pizza for the calories.
Yeah, he's another one that's not, and because he's tall, so
Hmm.
he doesn't he looks weaker than he is. He's just extremely tall, and
Yeah.
that's the thing about The Rock. The Rock is just tall and built.
The, the Rock is tall and yoked.
So it'll be good. I hope they go that route. I really really do. They need to go that route. They need to stray away from the whole. I think they got to stray away from the whole Flash, Dark Side,
Yeah,
Zack Snyder thing now. So they have
look,
to.
I don't even know what's happening. I mean, we talked about it with the Flash podcast, like what's happening because that was supposed to be Flashpoint and, you know, all that
Yeah,
jazz.
yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Well, I'm gonna watch it. I'm curious to see it because apparently it is getting released. So I am gonna watch it and see what the intention was, and then we'll see what like. I think that's again why the San Diego Comic Con announcements were really weak for Warner Brothers DC because they think they have to figure out what their next move is now.
Well, they have to because they've got the whole
Yeah,
AH thing, right?
yeah, yeah.
And they got the whole Ezra Miller thing.
Uh huh.
So
Uh
they're
huh.
like, why
Uh huh.
can't our actors and actresses just kind of behave?
Yeah. And that's again, that's the risk you take when you're going for younger up and coming stars. They're not established, so you don't really
Hmm.
know in their personal life what they're going to do or what they got going on. Um, Now I'm not saying anything against new younger actors or new and up and coming stars or anything like that. Is I'm just saying there's an inherent risk when you do that and when you start banking on them, which is why you should have used Grant Gustin, you idiots. Anyway, moving on. He was already established.
He was
He had been doing
already
a long running
established.
series on CW.
And
He can handle the fame.
he was a really good Flash too.
Ah,
He
Jesus.
was a
Anyway,
really good
so heated.
Flash.
Which is why I think The Rock's a good choice because
Yeah.
he's established. The Rock's not going to go off on some crazy like drug fueled
No,
anything.
what's the worst he's gonna do?
He's
Oh,
too disciplined.
he's gonna get into a tortilla slap fight with Kevin Hart.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's gonna roast John Cena on Twitter. Like that's the worst thing that's gonna happen.
Can we get
We
Peacemaker? And
might, we might. We could get an interaction because technically we're getting the Amanda Waller series, and Amanda Waller ties into everything. And I'm sure she would be the type, especially because she's egotistical as hell, to
oh
try to
yeah.
recruit Black Adam.
Well, and at one point in time too, the Suicide Squad sets up the Black Marvel family, and
Uh, yeah, and that's why he pokes
yep,
that guy's
yeah,
freaking head off.
yeah, and it's caught on camera, and they're like, "Oh, the Black Marvel families, they're not good like the Marvel
Yeah,
family."
yeah, they set him up. Yeah,
Yeah, so,
they set up Osiris
oh,
specifically. Actually,
yeah,
yeah,
so we could,
yeah,
oh,
we could, That'd be kind of crazy.
oh
Speculations.
my
Mm-hmm.
gosh.
Mm-hmm. We could. I don't know. Like I said,
I just got really excited. I think I got more excited for that than the Cavill Zach and The Rock.
I hope they go that route. I would be really surprised if they. I would be really surprised if they did. I'm just kind of fanboying out because that's kind of just a cool. It just be cool just to see those three guys just throwing punches at each other.
Oh,
Honestly,
because they're
that's all I
all
want to see.
so strong,
Yeah,
right?
you could do a lot with that.
You could,
You could do a lot with that fight scene.
oh my God, you could do so much. There would be so many air battles and lightning bolts
Hmm.
and laser eyes
Yeah, exactly.
and
Trees breaking, mountains destroyed, rivers just disappearing.
just,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I really wish I could find more on that Shazam run because that story seemed like it was really cool and seemed like it was going somewhere. Obviously, we're not going to get Superboy Prime and Black Adam,
No.
but one can hope. One can hope. It's not gonna happen. I know it's not gonna happen. But I don't know. It's. I'm trying to think of anything that we missed. That was anything that was. I don't know if there's anything else. Just
I mean, he does have like a soft side though. Like
he has. Yeah. Oh,
he
absolutely.
he found the bones of his deceased wife and
Hmm.
put them in the Lazarus pit, which is never a good idea. And she came back to
Hmm.
life, and then she was basically starting to decay, and then
Hmm.
he ended out of mercy unaliving her again.
Yeah. Lazarus Pit never a good idea.
No.
Especially if you just have bones.
Yeah.
You
That's
kind of need
yeah.
more than that. A lot more than that. Like a whole body, for example.
Preferably.
So we'll see. I don't know. I if we get, because here's the other thing too. I don't know what time period this JSA is taking place. Because if it's a modern day JSA in a modern time period that we're getting, then then technically that means this would be Earth 2. Unless they're saying that the JSA and the JLA are existing alongside of each other. I think like the new 52, they do. I think they exist alongside of each other. Because then that means in the DC universe, the JLA and JSA exist alongside of each other, and they're just two separate teams
Unless they're complete they have existed in the same during the 80s. Okay.
since the 80s. Okay, so it's not, so it's new-ish to me, but not new to the new 52. Okay, gotcha. Not that new. All right. Because right, well, because JSA was considered the precursor. I know at
Mhm.
one point. What in the? I'm gonna shut up now before I butcher the rest of this timeline. Anyway, thanks DC. Uh, we'll get to see stuff. Hopefully, we get to see the Orb of Ra, or maybe even the Staff of Ra. B. Um, uh, I just want to see all the whole Egypt. I know they're going to go heavy on Egyptian influence. I hope they
Yeah.
really lean into that. I don't know, man. I'm so hesitant to be like, yes, this is going to be the next phase in DC, because like every time I do that, something terrible happens.
Don't say that. Let's just let's just keep your inner your excitement contained,
uh,
right?
uh,
Until
I was so jacked for the Flash movie. I
the
was so jacked for it.
you know, the
I was
execs at
so jacked for it.
Warner Brothers get their heads out their butts.
Yeah, I hope they do. But if we get the 40s JSA, I hope we get some of the corniness from the dialogue from the 40s as well. If it's 40s and 50s JSA, I really hope we get some of the campiness and the corniness. If it's modern day, then I hope at least the power levels are on point with modern day versions of
I'm
themselves.
sure they'll make the
Yeah,
power levels on point. Just because,
yeah.
well, I say that coming from a video game that power levels were not on point. so,
Yes, that is true.
so maybe I shouldn't necessarily say that, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because and I keep going back to why I don't know why they're picking, like it seems like Shazam and Black Adam are becoming more of like the mainstay in the DCEU, but like in the comics, these two characters can't hold a run to save their skin.
Yeah.
Every time they get a good story, they get the dreaded writer switch, artist switch, and nobody cares anymore. So and it's a common thing with both these characters.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a common thing in their stories. It seems like it's the one thing I've heard a couple of videos mention. Actually, like they start out great and they just kind of fizzle and they just end, and that's just how it is.
Which is really unfortunate because
Yeah.
these are some pretty good storylines. Shazam, I really enjoyed. So good at words.
Oh
We're so
man.
good with words, but I'm excited. I'm excited to
Mhm.
see how powerful they make him, if they unleash his full capabilities or if that'll come later on. I mean, we've seen him catch a rocket and in the preview, we've seen him be basically bulletproof.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, we saw the lightning hands.
Yeah, we saw the lightning hands.
We saw the hood too. We saw the hooded look, so we're gonna
Yeah.
get the same kind of look from Shazam that we're getting with Black Adam. So we're
Hmm.
getting the same kind of costumage.
Which is good, and that's how it should
Yeah.
be. That's how it
Yes.
should be.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm, you know what? I'm excited for this movie. I'm excited to see The Rock. It's interested to see where they're gonna go with it. Could we
Mm-hmm.
potentially get lanterns tied in with this later on? We
It'll
could.
be interesting to see.
So
They've definitely. That's a whole situation anyway. That's a whole different thing. Definitely fought before, but yeah, they. I'm pretty sure the Owens, the founders of the planet that the Lanterns are on. I'm pretty sure they at one point they had to help contain Black Adam in
yes,
one story arc. I think, if I'm
yes,
not mistaken.
they did.
Yeah, they had which if you don't know anything about the Owens and the Green Lanterns, like the Owens are basically the ones that created the lanterns, and they're basically like demigods
Hmm.
themselves. So, it, without going into a big, that long explanation, but yeah, we'll see. I'm excited. It'll be fun.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, Black Adam comes out first.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Black Adam
yeah,
comes out in October, I
yeah.
believe. So a couple months. But I'm excited. I don't
Yep.
have anything else on Black Adam. Do you,
That's it
Joker?
for me too. Nope, that's it.
So I really enjoyed learning about this DC character because, as I've said before, I don't know much on the DC side. There's a few ones that I know, but
Hmm.
not nearly as much as you. So it's always good to be able to go to the dark side, as I like to call it,
Yes,
and bring you to the light side.
yes.
But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for listening or watching, depending on which platform you're on.
Mhm.
As always, you can catch the live recording of the show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the Candyland Discord, and you can catch the upload for the week on Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, YouTube, and now Google Podcasts.
Let's
So
go.
let's go. So thank you guys so much for hanging out, and we'll see you next week with Dr. Fate.
Dr. Fate, that's right.
Let's go. Bye.
Later.